The Mandarin's returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe later this year, my friends, in Shang Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, we've had the Mandarin before as a big bad. He appeared in Iron Man 3, but that weren't no Mandarin, mate. That was a snide. What happened was, you sure you've seen the film? So, if not, I'm about to spoil a twist on a film from 2012. But in Iron Man, right, long story short, given my habit of waffling a bit, long story short, in 1964, Stan Lee and Don Heck came up with the Mandarin as a big bad for Iron Man, as the counterpoint to Iron Man, the terrorist leader of the Ten Rings, a master of martial arts and technology, but also a master of mysticism. He had magic, the Mandarin, encapsulated in his 10 rings. He would wear 10 rings, fingers and thumbs. Each ring had a crystal. They were designed by alien technology, got off a crashed spaceship, as one does. That would be my first thought if I was walking around the commons, saw a crashed spaceship. My first thought would be, how can I get some jewellery out of this? But these 10 rings are not just decorative, they're weapons. Each ring has a different power, and the Mandarin, he ain't afraid to use them. His organisation is called the Ten Rings after this fact, and he and Iron Man wage war in the comics over the years. So Iron Man comes to the cinema, and all the fans are thinking, we're going to get some Mandarin, aren't we? As the big baddie at some point. They're probably going to build up to him over 3 or 4 films, which they did. But when he was introduced, it was as there was a twist. He was introduced, played by Ben Kingsley. Everyone got all excited when we saw him in the costume. He had the 10 rings on, sure enough. And one of the defining moments of Iron Man 3 is when he is revealed to be not the Mandarin. He's revealed to be Trevor Slattery, a stoner pothead actor who's been hired by the real villain, Killian, to pose as this fictitious figure, the Mandarin, that Killian's invented to take the heat for his crimes. And when that reveal comes, it is an hilarious moment. I mean, I laughed out loud. I thought it was great at the time, but it was a weird one. I laughed in the moment. I enjoyed it fine. I love Iron Man 3 as a film. It was just sort of coming out afterwards and thinking about it got me going, hang on a minute. Like, I just felt I felt a little bit slighted. Now, I'm not a massive Iron Man fan. I mean, the bat's my bag, but I enjoy it enough. I know enough about Iron Man to know that weren't satisfying, and it certainly wasn't satisfying if you're a die-hard Iron Man fan. That would be a fairly massive kick in the groin. I mean, it'd be the equivalent of Heath Ledger halfway through Batman going, I'm not really the Joker, and wiping his face off. I'm actually a front for something else. I'm a front for a sort of a gypped businessman who's trying to pin stuff on, a fictitious character. Sorry, guys. I mean, the fans wanted the Mandarin. They wanted a battle between these two arch enemies, a battle for the ages, which they're not going to get because now Iron Man's dead. But the Mandarin isn't, because I think they paid a little bit of heed to the backlash. Because there's a short film, I don't know if you've seen it, Hail to the King. It was an extra feature on the DVD of Iron Man 3, which reveals Trevor Slattery, now in prison, is being interviewed. And the final line of this short film, we find out that the Mandarin is actually real. There is a Mandarin. He is the leader of the Ten Rings. And he's angry. He's angry that his name was taken and used against his will. Ooh, what a tease. What a tease. And he appears this year in Shang Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. He'll be doing battle with the Master of Kung Fu. I'm excited about this film. I don't know much about Shang Chi, apart from the fact he's the Master of Kung Fu. But that hasn't stopped me talking about these things before. So, this isn't a reimagining of the Mandarin. This is the actual Mandarin that we're going to get. A global supervillain with magical powers linked to 10 rings, who's handy in a fight and is hopefully going to be terrifying. I mean, the Ben Kingsley's Mandarin was terrifying when he was doing the voice and playing the part, when we didn't know that it was a snide, when he was doing those broadcasts. I'm a teacher. Are you ready for your next lesson, Mr. President? The fortune cookie was an American invention. I mean, that was all quite disturbing, sitting there in that cave like Osama bin Laden, the way they lit him. That was all very sinister. And then the next thing you know, he's doing a Russell Brand impression. Oh, no, it's not me. But, we're getting full Mandarin action. I'm still waiting on the Victor Von Doom casting. Tony Leung is playing the Mandarin. They've gone with a really good actor for it. Massive pedigree. Hard Boiled, he's in that. I think he's in Hero. Great actor, very charismatic looking man. I'm very excited to see the portrayal. But we got our first look at how he's going to be garbed, if you like, the costume today. Lower your expectations, right? I've not got any exclusive behind the scenes photographs or anything for you, apart from this. And it's off Twitter. I try to imply I've got some sort of like, oh yeah, I'll bring you the exclusives on this channel. I won't, but it's the toys. The toys have been announced for this new film for Shang Chi. So we're seeing our first look at the Mandarin's costume via a photograph of the toy. We're going to, it doesn't give you much, but it gives you an idea of how he's going to look. So let's have a look at that. He moves slightly to the side via the power of editing. So there he is. It's part of the Marvel Legends series, this. For the film Shang Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, and there he is, Wen Wu. That's his real name, Wen Wu. He is the Mandarin. I'm not just showing you like another character. What would be the point of that? So there he is. I like it. I like it. That kind of makes me think of the kind of training gear that Ra's al Ghul wore in Batman Begins. You know when Descartes, when you don't know that Liam Neeson is Ra's al Ghul, and if you've not seen the film, you do now. That's like the gear they wear up in the Ninja Temple. It looks similar to that. There's some blue in it though. That looks like warrior clothes. I imagine in the film there's going to be some sort of a long coat or robe or some sort of a cape or something to go with that. Maybe a hood. But what I'm seeing here I quite like. What I really like is how they've done the 10 rings. It appears, going from this, I think his sleeves are rolled up, and it appears that the 10 rings are on his arms, on his Listen, what do you call that part of your arm? The bicep and that bit. Anyway, what do you call that part of your arm? Forearm. There you go. That was nice. Nice that the Alzheimer's is setting in. Right. He's got the 10 rings around his forearms, like they're Kung Fu weights. I don't know if you've ever practiced the art of Kung Fu. I have on occasion. And I stress the word practice. That is not meant to imply any expertise whatsoever, because I can't punch my way out of a paper bag. But I can barely fight sleep. But those ring weights that they put on your arms when you're practicing your Kung Fu, it appears they've kind of made the 10 rings, 10 of them. They're going up his forearms. Or is it tattoos? Are they making the 10 rings some sort of organic thing? Where they're tattoos on his arms? Maybe that's what they've gone for. But they're on his arms, not his fingers, by the looks of this. Because there's, you can see in the picture there's some sort of hands that you can take out and put back in. And those hands haven't got the rings on. So I'm guessing those are the 10 rings up his arms. I don't care, fingers or arms. As long as they've got powers attached to them. And he can wreak some havoc, I don't mind. He's got some weaponry as well. So it looks like we're going to get some fairly tasty fight action in this film. I'm reading an awful lot into a toy, aren't I? And also looking at the hands. These Legends series action figures, they give you interchangeable hands so that you can choose how to pose your man on your where you display your toys. And a couple of the hands seem to be doing sort of magic-y. I'm not sure if those look like magic hands to me, as opposed to fighting hands. So that would imply to me we're going to see some of his powers in this film as well. Or all of his powers. Why wouldn't you? Why would you hold back? Yeah, he looks good. He looks handy. That green thing you see in the picture, they do this with the Legends series, that you get like when you buy a figure, you get a part of another figure. And the idea is, if you collect the range, you collect more of those parts, and then you build another figure, normally a big one. It's normally Galactus or somebody. I don't know who that's going to be, or how they relate to the Shang-Chi film, but I dare say we'll find out. But there he is, the Mandarin in his packet. We'll get a proper look at him, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. We've got to be breathing down the neck of a trailer now. But as far as that goes, yeah, satisfying. I buy that. So there you go. That's what he's going to look. That's a very brief look at what he's going to look like. And I like it. I like how he looks. I think this might be the first time in history this has happened, where in a franchise a villain gets introduced, turns out to be a fake villain, and the real villain gets introduced about, 9 years later. So there you go, a first sort of look at the Mandarin. More news as we have it, etc, etc. Subscribe to this channel for more content of this nature. Subscribe, it's just me riffing. Subscribe, why not? Give it a like. And I'll see you on my next video. Ta-ra for now.